I can do that later. I'm just going to find the questions. Do you have the questions, Marcus?
I have all the questions, but it's not on paper.
It's always good to work with Marcus. I wrote intro and Berlin. So, that's a lot, isn't it?
It's
Anyway.
broad, it kind of covers everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's rock and roll. So, hi guys. How you doing?
Hello. We are
Do you
good.
hear each other well? Have you linked up so you can hear each other through the room, through the doors, or do you just hear each other through the thing? They're actually in the same apartment now as we speak. This is
We've got the door closed, so we can't actually hear each other. We could just hear each other on the microphone.
That would be hilarious if you couldn't hear each other whatsoever, and we could just compare your answers. Like, how in sync are they really? Well, anyways, are you guys having a good time?
Are we having a good time, Emma?
Yeah, we're having a pretty good time. Relaxed.
Have you gotten into like, all right, it's actually gonna happen. We're both of us gonna go to the games this year.
No.
It's not sunk in yet.
I don't really feel like it has sunk in yet. It probably won't sink in until I feel like it's not going to sink in until we actually get there and you're there and you pick it up, like you go and register, and then they take you around into where you get all of your swag, and you got your kit, and you've got your little locker there with your name and all the stuff. When did you feel like it sunk in for you, Emma, last time?
Probably after.
Yeah.
probably too late.
I was gonna say, isn't it like just a whirlwind when you get there? You're off the flight and you're in the hotel, you check in and you see the guy who's the boss man, and then you go, that's Rich Froning, on the competition floor, you have all your gear on, and it's over. What happened?
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
Like that.
Yeah, we spoke about this the other day. The first time I qualified, 2019, I said that I shouldn't have qualified. I shouldn't have been there. I didn't have enough experience, and it was just. Yeah, it was exactly like that. You didn't really realize what happened until after it happened.
So are you like a control person, Emma? Or is it David that is the control person? Like, you know, I think one perk of having experience is like, you know where the bathrooms are, you know how the warm-up area looks, you know how it feels, all these things. I think if you're like a control person, I think it's beneficial to have been at the games multiple times, because it like you mentioned now, the first time perhaps it's like you get so many impressions for all of this that you may be, it's also like a stressor. I think it could be. Is that what you meant, or what did you mean, like something else that you?
No, it's what I meant. Like, everything is just a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
A bit too much, and you don't really know what you're doing. Like, you don't know what you're doing on the competition floor. You don't know what you're doing off the competition floor.
You're just standing there, and they're like, "Do burpees." You're like, "Oh, okay, burpees, right?" Sure.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It was like that one year, though, wasn't it? When they had that event, I can't remember what it was called, but you didn't know how many reps
chaos.
of any movement that you would. That was what it was called? Yeah. You didn't know how many reps you were doing until they basically said stop.
Yeah.
Was that the year Emma was there? Was that the year you were there?
No.
That must have been completely awful. Like, basically just the worst.
Yeah, because you just have to, especially the first one was a ski. And like, I don't know if it was like a 50 calorie ski in the end or something, but like to ski like 20 calories versus like 100 calories is a very different pace. You have no idea how long the workout's going to last. That must have been tricky, yeah.
I think Pat Vellner said, I just paced above the others. And as soon as someone's hand comes up, someone's judge's hand comes up, then you're like, all right, this probably.
Now we know. Yeah.
Let's just do this. Yeah. But yeah, I've always wondered if there actually is like the way I think it is. When you go there, it's just such a blur that you never really take your time to get into it. And you have to be like a 2-3 times games veteran to actually appreciate all of it. I mean, Marcus, you've been through games.
Yeah, well, it's a long time ago. Only.
But you don't remember, or it must have been
was.
similar.
I do. recall that the sort of the process in getting to the games, Madison versus down in Carson, is similar. It's like the period leading up to it. It's like so we spent a lot of time in Carson prior, and that time we're like, yeah, that was pretty slow. It was. But as soon as comp day, it's like you went into some sort of boom tube and like, and then. Whoa, it's you're doing handstands on the beach and say goodbye, LA. Sort of that kind of thing. That's how I remembered it.
Yeah. So, but you were alluding to something before the Marcus that I think is going to be very beneficial for David now, because Emma, you were there at the specific like venue, so you know where the bathrooms are, you know where the best place to warm up is, you know where the best place to have a brekkie and all that stuff is, I guess. So at least you can relay that. Going there as a complete newcomer.
That's funny. Would you be surprised, John and Emma, feel free to correct me here, if we go there and I am the one that remembers where the bathrooms are, where all the stuff is, and Emma, having been there 3 times, is still like, David, where are the bathrooms? Where are we warming up?
Yeah. So of course you were there and you helped her out and you made sure to set everything up while she was focusing on being an athlete, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So now you can't do that for each other anymore. Now you need like roadies.
Well, that's the thing that we've been doing up to this point, through every single competition, through every single qualifying stage of every competition. We did it through quarterfinals, did it through the Open, we've done it through all the previous stages and previous years, is that we essentially support each other.
You're right.
So you get a lot of athletes that are with big programming companies that are fortunate enough to basically go to a place, everything's set up for them, they have a judge, they have everything like that, they just go there, they do the workouts, and then they go home, they recover and rinse and repeat for the next however many workouts. For us, it's always been that we set up our workouts, we often judge each other. We're sometimes fortunate enough to have help with the judging, which we did for a couple of the workouts this year for quarterfinals. But it's always at competitions, it's basically us taking care of each other. And that's been something that was easier to do when I wasn't competing. But now, when I have returned to competition, it's still been manageable, but it definitely is a little tricky at times, because to an extent your performance is compromised because you need to help with the logistics of setting up of doing quarterfinals and doing Open, that kind of thing. But since we've partnered with Philip Bisgaard, who is our coach as of this year, he's fulfilled a lot of those roles. And so while he wasn't able to come down here for quarterfinals or Open, he was at semifinals. And that was a massive boost, I feel, to our performance during the weekend, because we're so used to doing everything ourselves that when we add in that third person, and we continue to do all of the things that we should do efficiently, you add in that first person to take some of the load off, and you suddenly have more mind space and more time to recover, and everything runs a little bit smoother.
I was in the warm-up area with the guys, and what I noticed is, like you mentioned now, it's like when you introduce the third person, that third person becomes the hub that you like gravitate around, sort of, or he gravitated to you, but he basically stood as a pillar in the middle of the warm-up area, and you guys came to him like doom like this. And I guess that's like a relief that you're not doing that with each other, and having someone else to relay with. I guess that's like that's probably awesome. Even though you both are obviously competent as coaches and athletes, but still.
But as the athlete at a competition,
everybody needs a coach, right?
As the athlete at a competition, you shouldn't have to worry about when you need to be at a place and where your gear is. Like that, if you can put that aside to someone else, outsource that part, it makes a tremendous difference on the court. So.
I would like to rewind a bit to when it was over, because I think that was like, it was really emotional, and we watched you guys, and it's like, I think we watched David's pain, and we watched Emma's joy. I think that sort of is.
That was an epic finish to an event. One of the better ones I've ever seen. Like, he doesn't even touch, like, brace against the floor. Just I did it.
Oh man, yeah.
So Emma, please, could you like take us through what went through your head when you like realized that it's like it was a complete seal that you both were like a done deal going to Madison together?
I think before the last workout, like we both put ourselves in a quite secure position. So you kind of know that after event 6, so after the first workout on Sunday, you kind of knew that it was going to happen, but you don't really want to think about that because the job is just not done. So I was held in doping control when David were doing his last event, so I didn't get to see any of it. And I tried to really follow on the live stream, but it was like a good minute delayed. So I heard the speakers while watching the live stream, and it was just like, it was really stressful, even though like I was never worried about him not qualifying. It was just the whole situation just got really stressful. And then when they were done with the last event, we got to get out on the floor again, and just to see David on the floor, so I was just so emotional. It was just so it's been a very, very long journey back to that, and the weekend from Friday evening when David thought that it was over, and then to Sunday evening, it just felt very long and very emotional.
So take us through the whole Berlin semifinals. We don't have to be we don't have to go through every event for each and one of you. Then we're gonna lose a few on the way, but just day by day, you said that you had moments where you thought it was over, David, and for you, Emma, you had a pretty good run as far as I could see the whole way through. What was the days like? What was it like the day before the competition? What was your spirits like then? Let's start with Emma.
It was good. Like it was I think it was a very well run competition. Already from the day before, and it was all like we both looked forward to all the events, same time as being very nervous, because I think it's just one of the worst competition in terms of nervousness of the year, because it's just a lot on the line, and everyone wants to make it. Everyone wants one of those 11 spots.
And I would like to delve into champions mindset a bit, which I experienced firsthand. We talked about this on, was it Sunday evening? I think a bit, but I didn't frame it as champions mindset. But like the process you went through, David, I think it is spectacular. It's like it's a whole podcast in itself. I think those like 18 hours or so from event 2 to dropping the hammer in test number 3, I think it's like that thought process and mental process, how to come back from doing what we all agree upon is like was not according to plan, and then be able to just wake up and fucking bring it. Could you just like take us through that?
Oh, well, Marcus, it was just such an easy process. So just turned around and I thought I'm just going to smash the next event. And it was as simple as that, of course.
Right. Yeah.
What did I think of that?
Yeah, no problem at all. So to provide some backstory, the event 2, the second event, was the intervals of the ring complex, the pistol and the box jump over. And like all of the other events, we were able to practice this beforehand, but unlike a lot of the other events, we were able to practice it very accurately. Like we know the reps, we know the weight in the backpack, we know the height of the box. Like there's not so many factors there that are not known. And so we had a lot of experience practicing different interval formats, getting very familiar with how does the ring complexes feel, how do the pistols feel, how do the burpee box jump overs feel. And so we both had very good ideas in our head of what we were capable of and what we should stick to. When it came to the actual event, the ring straps were much longer than we have practiced on. And my particular ring muscle up technique did not fit well with the long straps. So we both had plans, like plan of attack going into the event, and they were fairly similar because in all the intervals we'd done in training beforehand, we were getting like pretty similar scores. Emma went out and executed the plan perfectly and won the event for the females. I went out and got the worst placing that I got over the whole weekend. And that specifically was like the second round of ring muscle ups, where the ring complex, where I didn't get through the 5 complexes. First round went to plan, ring complexes unbroken, pistols smooth, 15 burpee box jump overs. Second round, the long straps, combined with the fact that the ring didn't move around the strap, it was looped through in a way that the ring was and the strap were almost fixed together. Those two things, my ring muscle up technique just didn't work with. And so I failed a lot of ring muscle ups. I accumulated fatigue. I wasted a lot of time, and didn't get any burpee box jumps on the second round. And then in the third round, I managed to figure out what was going wrong, got through the rings, the pistols, and then got back onto the burpee box jumps again. So it was a skill issue, as opposed to fatigue. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to come back in the third round. But nevertheless, the score that I got was so poor in my mind that I thought that my CrossFit Games journey was over. And that it wasn't possible for me to come back from that score to do well. It was possible for me to come back from that score to qualify. And that was my feeling for probably like a good 30 to 60 minutes after the event. Emma explained to me when we went outside that like this does not mean that you're out of the competition. I was adamant that I was out of the competition, and it was only when the leaderboard was released later on that I realized, okay, I'm in 13th. I've moved down to 13th place, but it's not the end of the world. And then I think when you call it like the champion's mindset, or like how you come back from that, to us, I don't feel like it's so difficult to come back from that, because the alternative, which is just to give up, it's not an option anyway. Like it doesn't matter if it was that, and I had either you're in a position to that you can still qualify, so you do everything that you can to come back and get as many points as you can and qualify, or you're completely out of the races and then you have nothing to lose. So in either scenario, it's still an opportunity to rally and come back and try and basically win every event after that.
Wasn't the event right after very much in your ballpark and you won it, if I remember correctly?
The next event, the Linda on Saturday, yeah. So that was an event I was confident I could do well in, and
doesn't that help a little bit? You know that even if this was a bad thing, next thing I'm gonna do is gonna be, wheelhouse territory. This is gonna be one.
I didn't think it was gonna go as well as it did.
All right.
I knew it could do well, but I didn't think I wasn't convinced that I would win the event, but I did convince myself that I would win the event, if you get what I mean. But I don't think we don't really categorize events as good or bad for us. We don't attach like emotions or predictions to the events. It's just that they are what they are. Okay. So even if it had been a bad event or an event that I wouldn't have won, or the approach still would have been the same. Like I'm gonna end myself on this next event, and then I'm going to go home and recover, and I'll come back in. I'm going to do the same thing again. Like there is no option to do anything otherwise.
Did you need to talk to Emma a lot did you talk a lot about this? Obviously you talked some about this predicament you put yourself in there. Yeah. What's the best way to, Emma, what's the best way to talk to somebody that is sort of reeling from a heavy blow and needs to be picked up? What's your approach like? Do you talk to them, try to reason with them, or just try to let them get the feelings out? Or what's the best way to do it?
I think it depends on who it is and how they work.
Of
Like,
course.
obviously, I know David very well, and he's been in the same ish emotional state in training before. I think it's difficult because all I want is for him like to not be sad. All I want is for him like to be happy and believe that it's still possible, but he's in an emotional state where he is like devastated about that performance, and without even like really caring or knowing how it actually went. Like for him it went so bad that that's the only thing he thinks about. So I like, it's just a bit of mix of letting him like process that and just being there at the same time.
Yeah, no, this is tricky. I have some experience with my wife was an athlete, and when she had a rough competition, I decided to just let her talk, because everybody's different, you know. If I said it wasn't so bad and it was bad, it's not good, you know. Like, you have to always be as honest as possible. You know,
it was the worst thing I've ever done. You know, you can't like talk people out of a bad performance because everyone knows it was bad, and saying it was not bad does not help. But what I'm interested in is like, I would like to draw a chart or like a diagram. You know, there are things going on. There are hormones that affects us. You know, we have like the chimpanzee mind that like brings cortisol. You know, is skyrocketing, and you can't be reasoned with for a set time, and you can continue that by self-programming you by saying certain things. If you would like, you know, probably there was something. Okay, it was like something going pretty steep downwards, but it was like a time when you hit like the lowest point, and from there on you started to like reprogram yourself leading up to the next thing, whether it's just natural or, you know, just naturally happening because you're bouncing back, or you actually take action and saying something to yourself. Do you think there was like such a period in that process?
So even as I said earlier, even though the event went terribly, at no point did I ever feel like, did I ever think to myself, like, I'm not going to try and win Linda tomorrow, and I'm not going to try and win event 4, and I'm not going to try and win event 5. Like, even like right after it happened, although I'm not consciously thinking about it, in the back of my mind, I am also thinking like, well, I've got nothing to lose now, so I guess I'm just gonna fucking end myself on the next 4 events.
You were more like
events.
deflated.
Yeah.
You were more like
it was more a case of like that is almost a separate entity in itself, like how I'm going to perform in the events. But then that part of me that was like, my CrossFit Games is finished, or like the CrossFit Games journey, that was the part that was, I was absolutely destroyed. So I think, and then that continued through the night into the next day. Because obviously, because of that, I've been struggling with sleep for a while, and then like this happened. We both slept very poorly that night. I think I got about 4 hours sleep from just stressing over what had happened and then what was going to come the next day. And so that was, I would say, like the point at which emotionally I came back from that. I don't know when it happened, really, because I didn't really feel particularly positive the next day. It was just like, well, it is what it is, and you're just gonna have to deal with it and get through the next, and like do the best I can on the next events.
Yeah, watching you closely, I did. You had different phases throughout the entire weekend. I promise you. So it's like it was a sternness. There was something else coming out on day 2. It was like you couldn't tell if you were like going to like, you know, get rid of someone, kill someone, or it's like, you know, you could tell that you were on a mission for sure. You were like determined day 1, but it's like it was something else. So yeah. Anyway, we shouldn't dwell too much about this, but it's like I think it's like I thrive by analyzing these kind of things, because this is like what makes competition so cool, you know. But it's not like, you know, you had a plan. It's like, oh, What happened to the plan? Oh,
It's like
this.
following Tia Claire Toomey behind the scenes on like the games 2 years ago. It's just the first, and the first, and the first. It's just like there's nothing happening here. There's nothing really. I'm sure there is, but on the outside, it's just like, oh yeah, you're winning a lot. That's great for you. Congratulations. This is much more, like Michael said, this is much more exciting, for lack of a better word. Like this is something really happy, really reeled from a big blow and you came back, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm always
with the emotional response to events, like something that Emma and I pride ourselves on doing is that we have very little emotional response to any event, usually. And so it does. If the event goes poorly, we don't allow it to pull us down. If the event goes well, we don't allow us to hype us up. It's just it is what it is. You want to try and keep yourself as steady and consistent emotionally throughout the weekend, because that's going to reduce the kind of the toll that it takes on you, as opposed to like you do well and you're really happy, you do bad, you bomb again, like, and you just end up like this all weekend. Like it doesn't make for an efficient like use, like management of your energy and things like that.
No.
So the only reason, but this was probably the worst performance in the worst possible scenario that I've had in my entire career. hence the huge, the much bigger than usual emotional response. So I think after getting back from that, it was as like lame as it sounds. It was just like business as usual. You know, like I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to try and win the event again.
Yeah, but it's not much talked about just because of this this finish that we had. You did really good in event 1.
Oh yeah, 4th place in event 1.
Yeah.
That
is we don't. I don't think we've even mentioned it when we talked about the semis. You know, between each other, like, oh yeah, like 4th place in a semi with 60 people. Was it 60 people? Then that is basically like winning. Like that's huge.
Nah, it's not winning, John. It's not winning. It's a good placing, but it's not winning.
It's very, very good.
Man, the my 3, I got that first. I got the 1st place in Linda. I got 4th place in that first event, and I got 4th place in event 5. So one of the things that we've really been working on a lot this season is running. And I got 2 4th places in 2 running events. I was like, that to me is like Linda was cool. Linda was a really, really cool experience. But it was kind of like I knew I was going to do well, and I went out there with the intention of well, like Marcus says, killing people.
Yeah.
So, but the running events, my performance on the running events, and also my performance on event 6, which was one that I was really worried about, are personally for me the highlights of the competition, even though they're not necessarily the highest placings, because they just show, for me, they show that what we have been working on has worked.
We don't usually make promote other brands and stuff, but it seems like hard work pays off at this point.
Yeah, but not with HWPO.
No.
Right.
No, it's almost like if you really commit to something, you get better at it. It's weird.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
So Emma, do you think that did everything go according to your plans during the weekend, or what were your like lows and highs?
The thing is that I didn't really have so much lows and highs. It was just like mellanmjölk for most of the weekend.
That's sort of like how a plan looks, right? A well executed plan, I guess.
I think both yes and no. I went into the competition with a bit too low confidence, I think. Just like wanting to qualify and not like I feel like I went there wanting to qualify. I didn't go there like to compete
to win,
right?
Like,
right
to win, yeah. And I think that shows a bit as well, and that is probably what I'm the most like disappointed with after the weekend. Like placing and results is all, I'm very happy with it, but going in with like too little belief in myself and not getting everything out of myself throughout the competition is the next goal.
You think
Right,
you could have gotten way better results if you would have had a little more fire to just get the last inch.
It's difficult to say like way better, but it's definitely more in me.
But isn't this what happens when you realize that you actually, you belong there? It's like when you realize, okay, I beat that girl. Well, we are like you. We are equal. We're not only people who I look up to. It's like we are equal. And when you realize that, your ambition like rises, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to put other athletes like on pedestals and think that they are amazing and that you are not there yet, or yeah. And
why not realizing that when they say you walking in, they're like, oh this is gonna be tough, like you have to flip it sometimes and have a look at yourself that way.
Yes, it's like Angelica said the same thing after last year's age group at the games. She came 5th there. Going into the game, she was like just happy being there, but like when everything was over, we sat in the car and she was crying, and I was like, oh, what's happening? I was like, what's happening, babe? Like, I don't know if I'm sad or happy, or it's like, it's like, but then what came out of that, like sitting an hour in the car on the parking lot behind the warm-up scene there, was like exactly this. I think it's like she realized, that she belonged there. It's like it wasn't just by chance that she came 2nd in the qualifiers, and then she came 5th, and and beats, won some events, etc. So it's like, I think that's like a big thing, probably leading up to the games now, to like change that mindset, I guess. Yes. So, and I think I think you already experienced that when we talked on a Sunday. I think you were like, 4th. I should have been top 3, right? It was that part of that thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like the leaderboard changes a lot throughout the weekend because like every event is so different. So, but then being first after day 1, like even though you might not stay there, like you want to stay there.
Yeah, of course. It must be worse at the games when you have that shirt and you have to like give it up, like no longer number 1, even though being first the first day is like, all right, you can swim or whatever usually is, but still you want to stay first once you've gotten the taste of it.
Yeah, exactly. Once you got a taste of it, you want to keep it, or you want to have it. But it's good. Like it's more fire.
What do you think about you guys? What do you guys think about the programming in the semis this year? I've heard some say that it favored strong, tall athletes. Well, what's your take on it?
I think the programming is always balanced, but in sometimes it kind of, that balance is skewed more towards a certain type of athlete.
Right.
And I think that because of the nature, and I agree that it probably was skewed a little bit more to like a bigger or a stronger athlete. And which we can see from, for instance, Jelle Hoste, who is a very good athlete, clearly proving that this weekend by qualifying in, I think, 5th or 6th position. I can't remember. Fourth. Okay, right. Even more impressive. Did very well over the weekend. But then, like, if you look at, like, I think probably the reason why it was said that it was geared more towards a bigger, stronger athlete. Like, you look at event 1, and we've got like a heavy sled that was stopping some people in some regions. In our region, it ended up actually being that the sled was quite a bit lighter than other semi-finals, which you could see by like the speed at which people were moving the sled. And I think that was something. I think the sled weighs the same amount in every semi-final, and the carpet thing that they use for the sled is the same, but the flooring is different.
Was it really?
The flooring is different in every region, so that the friction that sled has against the floor then is a big factor in how fast it moves. And you could see that in different regions, like if you take like the East and West, for instance, and how fast that athletes are moving that sled versus, was it Oceania, Emma, or Africa, that had like people just like whipping the sled along the floor?
Because there was
Yeah,
this black
Oceania.
floor that had a certain brand on it, was in most regions, and that seemed to me visually to be the same everywhere. At least it looked exactly the same. But obviously in Oceania and like South Africa or whatever it was, they had another completely different flooring.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure that our flooring was not the same. I'm very, very sure that the flooring was a material that meant that the sled moved faster.
Okay.
Also, there is a factor that I don't think anyone is talking about it, but it's like lanes aren't equal. It's we know this because we have these kind of sleds at our gym, and we know that some lanes you're not pulling the sled in some lanes because the flooring is different. I mean, some of the lanes could be a bit oily because of the new rubber, etc. Stuff like that. Yeah. Even at the games, having artificial grass, you know, the big bob, etc. It's like
in the shade.
Exactly. It's always hard having sleds on competitions, I think, because it's like, it adds an element
factors,
of element factors.
I noticed one thing: the teams had the handstand thing where they did the handstand pirouette right before we did event 1 with the sled, and in some places those teams, they emptied a bucket of chalk on the floor where somebody, and they did something, but it was not dry, you know, it was not oily.
So that's a factor in it as well. So there's that event, the first event, which is like the heavy sled potentially stops some smaller athletes in their tracks. It's a lot of machines as well, which generally favors a bigger athlete. Like even the run was on an air assault runner, not not regular running like around. So then again, that potentially favors bigger athletes. In the second event, you've got a lot of gymnastics, but then you've got a weighted backpack. Like the heavier you are, the smaller percentage that weight in that backpack is as a percentage of your body weight. So then it's like, is it relatively lighter for a heavy athlete? Linda, of course, like it's a set weight. So again, is the bigger, heavier athlete dealing with a lower percentage of their 1RM. Max snatch, bigger, stronger athletes, bigger and stronger, although I did actually place very poorly in that event. Then the run, again, the touch and go, the 8 snatches and the run, again, like a bigger athlete can cycle the barbell faster, and then you're running on an assault runner again instead of outside. Event 6 is potentially the one where was more favored towards a smaller athlete, which we saw in the scoring of that when like Victor Hoffer and Jonny Koski were number 1 and number 2 in that event. And then event 7 again, like you've got an echo bike, and that one sandbag carry, and that was largely down to that. The toes to bar wasn't really so much of a factor. So like if you look across the board, like the events are balanced in terms of like the testing lots of different things, but the balance is maybe skewed more towards the athlete that is stronger or even like just body weight wise heavier.
Do you think the program is going to carry over like this towards the games, and it's going to be that's the flavor of the year, or would you guess that their boss man is going to trip you up with some completely different stuff now?
We were talking about this yesterday, and Emma said about that it's the first year that Bosman has programmed open like all stages of competition. And so it's like you could potentially see a bit more of a pattern, like a carryover of themes from the first stage to the next stage to the next stage, which we haven't seen before, because I think it's been different people programming different stages, or it's been like the sanctionals where it was each sanctional was left to its own devices bar 2 events. So I think that we could potentially see like there's certain things you can already see are evolutions of previous stages, and you can see certain themes developing that could give us a clue as to what might happen at the games.
But the games are so long that they have much more time to give you an even test, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like there is nothing that will not be covered at the games. Like there's just so many opportunities to test everything in every way. I don't know what's happening with the cuts this year. Does anyone know that?
Haven't heard.
What?
No, haven't heard anything about cuts yet. Isn't that something they usually
Oh,
disclose
right.
soon?
Oh, at the games. So they are introducing cuts?
Well, they had them in previous years, didn't they? And there was a bit of argy-bargy with the fact that they tested.
At this point, they haven't disclosed
things.
anything.
No, okay, yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me if they do what they did last year.
What element of the games are you guys looking forward to the most?
The kit. Get in the kit.
Right. In terms of fitness. What?
Yeah, that. Okay.
You know, do you look forward to the capital thing? Stuff like that.
Big events.
Like that suffering, like really suffer for an hour and a half.
Not like training where it's just like just chilling for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to everything that I'm looking forward to. I've waited so long to be able to go. Like I've got so close to this point, and like every year something's got in the fucking way. Like I'm just looking forward to going there and enjoying everything. Every event, doesn't matter what it is. Like, I'm looking forward to it.
You're not going to let anything get in your way. You're going to go real soon just to make sure that you won't miss the flight. Stuff. You'll be there like a month before.
Nothing. Yeah, I'll be on that field, like helping them put down the lane markers and stuff.
You'll be in a tent outside.
Not booking a train with SE.
No.
So Emma, what do you look forward to in terms of like tests?
Just everything as well. Like I really like the programming in all stages so far, and I think what we talked about before, that it's being like biased to like bigger tool people. I think that most tests are more complete now than they were before, and they test more than just one thing. Like it feels like it's more difficult for specialists to win events. Like you have to be good at everything to do well.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's maturing into the proper sport we want, instead of being some sort of, not to take shots here, but some sort of weird marine boot camp thing we'd sometimes turned into in the past. Like now it's more of a let's actually see who's the best at these things combined or whatever.
Like if you want to display your strength, like you need to be able to run first. Right. And if you want to be able to display your running capacity, you need to be able to lift first.
There's always something like that messing with the test, you know.
Yeah, and now it's that's like it's a good way that they've implemented that in the semifinals. Like you're strong, so you can you're good at deadlift, bench, and cleans. Well, you also have to be really conditioned to be able to keep up the pace on those movements. Like if you're big and heavy and you can move the sled, well, you also need to be able to. You also get to spend half the event on the rudder as well.
Yeah.
So the question everybody is waiting for. So how does it feel being a supermodel now, David?
What? But I don't know what you mean. Where's the supermodel thing come from, Marcus?
From the Sevan podcast.
You mean superstar? Did you hear Sevan's comments about you?
Marcus sent me. He sent me a video clip of it, and he said, "Don't get cocky." I
this guy's like a rock star.
Yeah. Oh my God, this guy's a model. Yeah, and he also said some other stuff in there. It was a bit weird about like changing the sport, like Daniel Brandon. At which point he lost me. But they were nice. It was funny the comments that he was making. Like I came like top, like fourth in 3 events, and like it's my first time back to the CrossFit Games season, like qualified for the games. All of his comments were just on appearance.
Yeah.
This guy's a model. Great, thanks. That's what I'm training for.
Yeah, he almost sounded a bit horny, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just love the way that you came out of nowhere, kind of thing. I could see all the other guys in that call were just like on their phones, like, who is this guy? Like going Instagram and then on the leaderboard, and just like, who? Find something.
The funny thing is that it's like you guys, everyone here knows that it hasn't just come from nowhere.
Yeah.
Like it's just like when Emma first popped up on the scene, like even though she hadn't been doing the sport for a very long time, like it hadn't just come from nowhere. Like she'd been doing sport all her life and slowly building up to this. It's a little bit like the iceberg thing, right? Like you've got this wealth of training and experience and time and effort that's been put in, and you break the surface and people are like, whoa, where did this person come from? And it's like, well, it's only because you haven't been able to see below the surface that you actually see that this has been a very long time coming. And it's just now, because I was fortunate enough to do events that were reposted by CrossFit Games, that it looks like it's like come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's also like, where is the camera? Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everyone gets so surprised every year when Christine competed. They're like, she came from nowhere, but no, she didn't.
Yeah.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't put a camera on her. That was the thing.
Christine Holte, you mean?
Yeah, that is the best thing as an athlete, when you can hear the speaker talking about everyone else, and you realize that, hey, they haven't realized where you are, and you're just like in a side lane, like slowly creeping along, sneaking up past people, and you can hear them, like it's like a nice little report, like, oh, lane 5 is here, and you look at your monitor, like, I'm ahead of lane 5, and like lane 4 is here, I'm ahead of lane 4, and then you get closer and closer to the finish, and you can still hear them like, oh, lane 5, still 5 reps left. You're like, well, I've got 2 reps left. And you got to finish line. They're like, Dan Shorunke's finished.
I love when that happens, because it's typical for, I mean, at least in the past, they tended to favor American athletes in the broadcast. I know what it's like in the past. but like they have to decide what's the drama here that we're gonna play on. You know, they have to decide first, and the camera guy needs to know where to stand and where to point, simply. So they have to decide upon a certain script, you know. And when somebody ruins it, like Christine Holte did constantly, they have to like adapt. And there's always such a, because we're always sitting in the couch screaming, just like, show us Emma, you know. Like, why Emma is doing really good, show us her. But they never do. But when she wins out of the blue, then we always get that, told you.
Yeah.
You watch.
Yeah. They did do something cool with the live stream this year, where it looked like they had like a view of the whole field and another camera that was focused on particular athletes.
They're learning.
Cool if they could do that for every event.
Yeah, they're learning. So I think they're gonna do even better this year at the games. I think they're gonna be pretty good at showing what's up.
Yeah.
So guys, how does it, you know, being together, being like superstars of the sport? You're a true elite. How does it work? You know, living together, you know, having the same goals, same discipline, same everything. I mean, how do you guys make a relationship work? Because there are things you need to do to make a relationship work, right? So how does that look?
It doesn't work. Now we've gone to CrossFit Games together. We'll break it up after this.
I mean, do you take care of each other?
What did you say, Marcus?
Do you take care of each other? What do you do to, like, you know, because it's also, you know, grit. What do you do to like even that out?
Like, it's not easy. It is very difficult, but I think throughout the years, we've been working out like strategies that works for us, and we've been like finding a way to really communicate and like be extremely like honest about everything that's going on and how we feel, depending on how the other person like reacts or acts. And it's working well, and it's definitely like a double-sided roller coaster, because you have your own roller coaster in life, and then you have your partners as well, because you spend 24/7 with each other, and you play many different like roles for each other.
I mean, the athlete life, I've seen it pretty close since my wife was an elite athlete, and it's hard. It's really hard. I could always sort of balance that out, coming in with some normal life stuff. Hey, I was at work and this happened. You know what I mean? Like I can sort of balance it out. You must be in such a bubble, right?
Yeah.
There's just this because you have to rest in between and then gym again. And like, doesn't it? I would obviously it works, but to me it would be like, it could get a little tedious, doesn't it? You're just powering through it.
Yeah, but
I
we're trying
think-
to be. Yeah, you say.
No, you go on.
Like we're trying to be good at like doing other stuff with each other too. It's like small little stuff that we appreciate, like good food.
Yeah, that's probably a big thing. I reckon.
Yeah.
I think that we both find this much easier, and we regularly meant to talk about this as well, about how what we do is made so much easier by the fact that the other person is doing the same thing to the same extent as well. I think that to try and maintain this level of like discipline and consistency and routine and habits formed, everything formed all around training, I think it would be much harder if you had someone that was not doing this, either not doing CrossFit, not a competitive athlete, or not a competitive athlete to this degree, because we would have to make so many more compromises, you know.
Or the other one
now it's like,
or the other one has to give up so many things for it to work, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's like with you two guys, it's not a question like, are we going to the party on Friday? No, we're going to train, you know, like it's not even
exactly,
a thing, you know.
Yeah.
But for others it's just like, I'm going alone on this party again. Like you're at least whatever you're doing it together.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not, if it's very rare that if we make a decision, if one person, well, it's not really like one person makes the decision, because you like make the decisions like together, because it's essentially what is good for one person is usually also good for the other person. Like it's very, if we need to get up at this time because we need to get the session done, then the other person also needs to get up at that time to get the session done. Like if like all of those things work well together, because it's essentially like you are taking care of yourself and each other by taking care of yourself. So and then you've also got the added benefit of like, if things go, or when things go wrong, like when someone's having a shit time, or training's not going well, or injury, illness, or something like that, like the other person can has the best understanding that anyone could possibly have, because they're right there with you doing it every day, and B, they can like pull a bit more of the load, because they understand like what the situation is that you're going through. So I think it works much better than if it was the alternative and you had one person chasing one dream and the other person's kind of like along for the ride, or making compromises.
Interesting.
It's
gotta be beneficial. It's my initial take was it's gotta help that you're doing it together. So
I think either you don't have a relationship at all, or I think it's either you don't have a relationship, or you have like a fan that's like supporting you all the way, that's had no ambitions, that's like, supportive, or this. I think it's like, it's hard if you're like both have, one has big ambitions and someone has really big ambitions elsewhere. That's going to, like building a big social sphere or something like that. It's going to be really difficult.
So it is also difficult in terms of like, when, how can you say, like whenever Emma has a good day doesn't mean I have a good day, and just because I have a good day doesn't mean Emma has a good day. And so it's like, how does your shit day affect the other one's good day? Because you don't want it to pull them down, but you also don't want to be having a shit day and then go watch someone smash a session. If in the winter, when it's really, really cold weather and the cold air affects Emma's asthma, and for that period of time she has to be very careful of like how intense conditioning that she does, that it's not nice for Emma to then watch me do like heavy breathing conditioning workouts knowing that she wants to do that. Just the same way as like the other way around, like when I've been injured for periods of time, like I don't want to go in the gym and watch Emma smashing sessions, but at the same time I want to see Emma smashing sessions, because then she's going to do well when it comes to competition. She's getting better. So you also like, it's a little bit difficult like that as well, because if you were an individual, you would only have like your negatives of attached to training to consider, but you also have to consider like the direct impact you have on your partner, your training partner, like coach, athlete, which is like all of the roles that we play for each other.
It's a lot like a team.
Yeah,
It's like you're in a team, basically.
Yeah, exactly. We joke that it is when we compete, it is a team sport. Because like we're always competing individually, but like one person goes and does the event, and then they come back and they tell the other one how the event went, things to think about, things to watch out for, advice, and then the other one goes and does the event, and then like you basically like switch it around back and forth, and so you do get a little. It feels like it's a
tremendous strength.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Interesting.
I think as well, because we met each other before either of us like really made it or was like good enough to be close to a full-time athlete or a full-time athlete. So everything with that, like we built everything from the ground together, basically.
So how long is it now? How long have you been together?
3 years.
No, 5 years.
It's always 3 years, Marcus.
Yeah.
5.
I only count the years that one of us qualified for the games.
Right.
This has no impact on your relationship whatsoever.
Yeah. No, what was it? 2018? Yeah, well, you said you were going to come and visit me and then never left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually how it goes.
That's cute.
Yeah. But guys,
so how does
no. We've gone way
what?
over time here.
Yeah, we are just finishing up.
Yeah.
What's up next? Right. So how will like your what are you doing today and what are you going to do in the weeks leading up to the games? And then we're going to finish off with that.
What are we doing today, Emma?
We're going to the cinema.
Wow! Treating yourselves.
Yeah, we had a little fika this morning, nice little Swedish breakfast, and then well, we've got some food prep to do now for the weeks coming, and then we're going to go watch Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
new Spider-Man film, and then probably come back and chill out, ready for the start of the build tomorrow. This first day of games training.
Interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, we're sure gonna watch you, of course, obviously, and we're gonna be on site in Madison as well.
Bother you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool,
guys.
It should also be mentioned very quickly that although we had the support and help of our coach Philip, it was absolutely brilliant. You guys were also there all weekend. You were taking photos. You were in the warm-up area chatting with us, and it was very nice. It was very nice to feel like it definitely felt like there was a Relentless family there, and it was also appreciated how you used your own competition experience to decide when was appropriate to approach us and chat and when we were best left to do our own thing. And it was just like another added nice supportive experience to the competition. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Thanks, guys.
Happy to help.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for the chat, and we'll see you in the upcoming weeks for sure.
Yeah.